Alright guys, TEDCrop here back again today, hope you're enjoying your Thursday so far, and today we have to go back to talking about OpTic Gaming Los Angeles. We had a discussion on this team and what they could potentially do. Of course, we've heard the rumours of maybe Chino being in the team at one point. Of course, this past weekend, the Chicago Huntsman home series, Dashi was back in the team they have fielded since the start of the season, but this arguably is the worst they have looked the entire year, losing to Los Angeles Guerrillas. Yes, it is online, but as we talked about the Chicago Huntsman, right, yes, it's online, but you still have to consider these tournaments as wins. There's no other LAN tournaments that are going to be happening, so you still have to adjust your game as if you were playing in a legitimate environment, which you kind of are to some degree. It's an official game. The money still counts at the end of the day. OpTic Gaming was a team where at the start of this season, I looked at them and I thought, this starting roster, especially like people were talking about JCap at the time, but I felt like given that he was a pretty competent player in World War II, and it felt like Modern Warfare might play like World War II, turns out it's actually a much quicker game. One of the examples you can see on screen right here of apparently a new way to move silently if you have this automatic tactical sprint enable option, which a lot of the pros use now, a lot of the SMGs especially. That's why you see Illy running around like a crackhead the whole time. But yeah, with all that considered, I thought OpTic Gaming were going to be a really solid team this season. I thought they would be at least a top 3 team at least one point in the game's life cycle, but you can make a very credible case right now that this team is the worst team in the entire league, ranked number 12 on a lot of people's power rankings, given that LAG look pretty bad, keep losing to Seattle, who also look pretty bad, keep losing to a lot of other teams, but OpTic Gaming losing to LAG, I think a couple of times now. We'll have a look through the results in the coming minutes here. So yeah, intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Also wanted to look at some of these reactions from their performance this weekend, which obviously was marred by some server and technical difficulties, but maybe it's more of a mindset thing is one of the thoughts that came to mind. So like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new, as always, right on the verge of 18,000 now, and let's hop right into things then. So firstly, just wanted to mention, this is what the league looks like right now. OpTic Gaming are down here in, well, tied 9th with the Guerrillas, OGLA, Subliners, Ultra. They played 4 events overall, so it's possible they could leapfrog the Los Angeles Guerrillas most certainly. But this is what their overall record looks like this season. They beat LAG once in a Game 5. They actually beat Minnesota Rocker in really their only good performance of the entire season here at that Los Angeles home series. That was an impressive win, and after that I was feeling pretty confident in this team that they could put something together. They get beaten by the Dallas Empire, and then coming in here to the Chicago home series, of course online, Dallas Empire beat them 3-1, and then they lose to LAG. Now, of course, losing to Dallas is perfectly reasonable, given what happened on the weekend. Dallas end up winning it, pretty dominant fashion over the course of it, but LAG beating them just is difficult to accept. They did beat them one time before, but, you know, especially with LAG looking pretty poor this weekend, losing once again to Seattle twice now, a lot of people are going to say OGLA are the worst team in the league. They've had a pretty difficult start. They haven't played exactly the easiest teams, but you know, the LAG result kind of maybe a nail in the coffin to this starting roster right now. Interestingly, of course, you know, before this event started, we heard about Slasher maybe going to an SMG, Dashi on the main AR, but as Brian Saint says here, Dashi was literally main AR when we played them 2 days ago. This was this past weekend, but you know, as it turns out, it seems like they've resolved those or swapped those roles back around once again. Now, some of the tweets that were coming out from OpTic Gaming this weekend, pretty concerning to be honest. Just wanted to have a look through these, and that's why I've titled the video the way I have. How does one perform on the highest level on 100 ping? Asking for a friend. And yeah, this tweet from Kenny, currently playing with red boxes on your screen. If you've ever played with red boxes on your screen, it's not ideal. You're skipping all over the place. Now, of course, they're coming up with similar complaints that we have seen from Crimsix and the others regarding the server locations not being ideal. This is the tweet from Slasher to follow up. So the Texas server gives my teammates red clocks, and the Chicago server I'm on 100 ping with constant skips. I'll provide a map like Crimsix did. Great gameplay. We're also screaming mid-map S&D for a ref to end the game after round 2. Round 2, we can't end it, supposedly. So, yeah, clearly a lot of frustrations from this squad right now. And as Shock then says in reply, wouldn't they have played on the Cali server with 2 LA teams, talking about the Los Angeles Guerrillas game that they played. But Shock says LAG went home, yeah, only one in LA, I think most are central. So, seems like the Los Angeles Guerrillas have flown elsewhere, so they can't really just play on a Los Angeles server, like would have been ideal, I suppose, for these two teams to play on. These are kind of all the tweets here in a back-to-back-to-back fashion. And after they do go out of the tournament here, Dashi, I'm actually speechless. And really the key one here from Slasher in terms of the mindset of this team right now, this is just unacceptable. When does the next Black Ops game release? Gotta mark my calendar. So, you know, what's he talking about being unacceptable? Probably a couple of things, right? First of all, the game situation, the fact that they're having to play on these servers, which obviously isn't ideal, but it's just this last part which has me worried. You know, if I was an OpTic Gaming a fan of this team right now, you know, and I respect a lot of these players. Let's get off that. So yeah, it's difficult to see this coming out from Slasher, such a renowned winner, right? One of the biggest winners we have in Call of Duty in terms of his mindset, the way he approaches the game, what he's done in the past. Clearly a frustrating situation for him, but looking ahead to the next Black Ops title, that's not what you want to see, right? Especially if you're the management regarding on this team, you're looking at the players, you're like, you know, Slasher, are you really still down to do all you can to win right now? Obviously a tough situation, but at the same time, you know, you're not exactly going to drop Slasher, are you, right? So it's difficult to say. But with all that being said, seems like OpTic Gaming's mindset right now is not in a good place, and part of it for good reason. But you know, this team is so talented that even with those issues and situations like that, you should be able to be a top 6 team in the game with the talent you have on this squad, in theory, right? Like, it's difficult to argue otherwise, especially what a lot of people's expectations were for this team coming into the year. So I think the mindset issue is a problem for them, but of course you've also got to consider the roster right now and what changes you could possibly make to make this team work, because Dashi, maybe he was out of the squad, maybe he wasn't, whatever. He plays in the squad this weekend, not happy with how everything went towards the end, and I just wanted to have a look through some statistics here. I've got I've got Paris up on screen as well, just to fill, I guess, more space so you guys can do some sort of cross-checking comparison, but this is the overall season. So Dashi on a 1.07, Cap on a 0.81, Kenny just below a 1 KD, TJ, you know, 0.88. You could argue TJ's been the most disappointing player on this team. Now, you know, Jacob, a lot of people were expecting him to put up numbers like this, so it's not really a surprise, but TJ dropping significantly below a 1 isn't what a lot of people were hoping for, and Slasher at a 1.04. Those stats are courtesy of Cam, and links in the description box below. And this is then from Lion Man, right? So this weekend's performance, Dashi had a decent weekend, especially in Search and Destroy. Kenny was honestly like much improved, I thought, from what we have seen from him. He had a pretty solid weekend, given they only played 2 series at the end of the day. Slasher, once again, a solid player, but, you know, TJ and Cap overall just not really getting anything to go, you know, together in terms of how those series did progress. So what are the options for this team going forwards? We've heard about potentially Chino coming in on the substitute bench, but who does he replace that improves the team, right? First of all, I suppose you've got to decide, if you're going to make a one-person swap, what's it going to be? We talked about a long time right now, okay, maybe they're thinking about getting Dashi out of the team due to vibes and chemistry and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, there's clearly a big team issue which is causing issues like this for them to be effectively top 12 out of a league of 12 with the talent like this. So, in my opinion, if you drop Dashi, are you ever going to be a championship contender? Maybe it improves your team to a degree in the short term, you could argue, in terms of, you know, chemistry and stuff like that, but it's never going to get you to the top level where you need that talent on your team, in my opinion. So I think really you have to keep Dashi, even if there is some chemistry issues there between him and Slasher. Like, those are things you've got to just try and resolve on your squad rather than dropping one or the other, because they're just too talented to give that up. And same with Kenny, in my opinion. So TJ, of course, has been a really good player over the course of his career, hasn't found any form so far this year. A lot of people's opinions are split on JCap, right? Like, he definitely plays difficult roles on his team, but at the end of the day, you look at a squad like Dallas Empire, for example, Atlanta FaZe, they don't have anyone that's consistently dropping, you know, negative bombs like JCap is. And I'm a massive fan of JCap. I respect all he's done throughout his career and how he molds and gets the best out of players that he has teamed with. And of course, Cap and Slasher won the World Championship together on the NV team back in the day. But maybe in a game this fast-paced, his time has just, you know, passed by a little bit, especially in a game this fast-paced, as I say, and it might not be the best decision to keep him in the starting lineup, especially when you look at Atlanta FaZe and Dallas Empire and you see what those guys, you know, the pace that they are putting on the map, especially in an online arena. It's probably, you know, not enough for Jacob to keep up with that. I feel like if you get rid of TJ, that just, you know, who do you replace him for, right? If you need anything on this team, it's fast-paced, because Dashi and Slasher are kind of competing for who's going to use the AR, Kenny also kind of likes using the AR at times, so you need aggressive partners to TJ. Feels like at times TJ's kind of stuck out dry on his own at the front. So in my opinion, if you're going to make a change to this squad, you need to swap out probably Jacob, to be honest, as much as it hurts to say. But in terms of the slaying that some of the other teams are putting up, it just seems like the route that you probably have to take right now. And if you are going to swap this player, who do you swap him for? In my opinion, it has to be a fast-paced, aggressive SMG player that can partner up with TJ, and Kenny can be just behind them. And then you've got Dashi and Slasher, who can kind of perform how they would like and switch between the AR role as they please. On some maps, maybe 2 ARs, and Azir Cave obviously is a pretty fun one for this team to play, I would imagine, but yeah, maybe they don't feel too comfortable on that map. But there are some options here. Just wanted to look at this tweet then. So Frosty then quotes this tweet that we did look at from Cronut CDL Intel, and Pristini replies with the devil face here, and Pristini is the question mark right now. Obviously an incredibly talented player, reigning world champion for sure, definitely an underrated player I think in the scene, removed off this Florida squad because they more, Pharaoh came in. The team's been absolutely dominating since then, so Pristini kind of stuck in a little bit of a grey area right now. He would make sense. Now, if there's one player you wanted to get in this starting lineup right now, and if you're going to replace Jacob for someone, you need a fast-paced, experienced SMG player that can fill the gaps. Pristini, in my opinion, seems pretty perfect for that role. Seems also a player that's pretty willing to listen and work with the rest of the squad, and, Slasher is that IGL type figure. I think they could get on pretty nicely together, even though, I'm almost certain they have never teamed in the past. That is something to keep in mind. If I was OpTic Gaming management right now and I could make this potential trade work, that's what I would look into. Like, say, look, Jacob, our apologies. You've been such a great asset for so many teams over the year, but this season it's just not working out. And we're not going to swap out TJ, given he needs an aggressive SMG partner, I would say, in the squad right now. You could also argue you need 2-person changes, but that's not something that's realistic right now, given the way that the contracts work, and it's tough to even get one change off. And I think that this Pristini change will be pretty hard to make as well, even if it is at the top of their agenda, which it may very well be. We heard rumours earlier this season of OpTic trying to get Pharaoh in the squad, and that didn't come to fruition either, and Florida pick him up as a substitute and then sign him to the main roster, and the rest is history, I suppose. That's something to consider. You also got to consider Enable as a player. So Enable replies #trust the process, #Slasher is my seed, #so is Kenny. He calls himself TJ Halley's boogeyman, and Enable could be another player to consider. I don't think he's a particularly slow player. He could be a good partner to TJ, and of course this squad in the past, well, Slasher and Enable did such good things last season, and Kenny on the 100 Thieves squad. Could be good to reunite those players. They got a job done last season. That, in my opinion, is the move. I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. But yeah, to me, I think it's time to say, look, we don't have the slaying power with Jacob to compete. It's time to put Jacob on the bench, just like LAG did with Aches, and we'll see how we progress. Maybe next season, if the game changes, Jacob could be a valuable asset back in the starting lineup. But for now, I think that you have to give it a go with trying to get a Pristini or trying to get an Enable in your squad. An experienced, pretty fast-paced SMG player that can fill gaps. In my opinion, those are the ideal players, especially because they have some experience. Maybe not Pristini, but Enable has some experience playing with this core lineup as well. So in my opinion, that's probably the move, but I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below for sure. Just to finish off with then from Zaptius, the new and improved Westar is looking better every day. Just tweeting out this screenshot from Zaptius, of course, who was the target of that whole Parasite DMing his goal mid-tournament stuff when Parasite got dropped from the team the other day for Jin Droid, and then they're scrimming Parasite's team, and it doesn't go so well. So this could be a storyline to keep your eyes on going forwards. But like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate your thought process in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. I'll see you next time.